Russian air defenses, Melissa, did say that they shot down a UFO.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Lato Files. I'm Chris Lato, retired F-16 pilot turned unidentified anomalous phenomena investigator. I don't normally do videos about war. After 24 years in the Air Force, I'm pretty happy to have retired, and now I can focus on anomalous phenomena using all my training and experience for good, if you will. Try and find out answers to bring us closer together, not drive us further apart with war. So with that caveat being said, it was good to get back in the seat and start looking at some Russian planes, Russian fighters on the ground, watching missile systems. So I did enjoy it, actually, kind of a guilty pleasure. My most popular video by far was about the UFOs over Kyiv. Could there be UAPs or UFOs over war zones? Dr. Avi Loeb from the Galileo Institute, he ruled out basically investigating in a war zone. He said there's too many things flying around in the air to identify. It would make it too difficult. On the other hand, if you look at books by Graham Randall, the Foo Fighters have been interested in war since World War II, when Allied and Axis air crews gave reports of white objects, or Foo Fighters, if you will, mysterious glowing orbs or objects following the fighters into battle. Air crews shot at them even to no effect. So no effect, just went right through the actual UFOs. Now today we go through the recent launch. Supposedly Russia has shot down a UFO that was in the news reports. So let's check it out. Thanks for being here. Smash that like button if you do like this content. Subscribe to get future notifications. And if you want to join the team, get backstage access, including exclusive videos. I have more than 20 videos now only on Patreon. Then go to patreon.com/Chris Lato to support the channel and be a part of the team. You can also buy our UAP Society merch. Let's get to the video.
It's time to close out the week with our interesting stories chat with Richard Southern. And Richard, the Russian government is making some pretty major claims tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we're not too happy, I guess, with the Russian government right now. But that aside, Russian air defenses, Melissa, did say that they shot down a UFO. They actually released some video of it. We're looking at it here. This was reportedly shot down in the Rostov area near the Ukraine border. The governor of this Russian region said the UFO was a small-sized object in the shape of a ball and was flying roughly 1.5 miles high in the sky on January 3rd when the decision was made to shoot it down. Now, it is not clear what the object is. It's certainly possible it was a Ukrainian or maybe even a Russian drone related to the conflict. We don't know. Still, though, back in September, the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine claimed the skies over Kyiv were swarming with unidentified flying objects. So add this to our long list of what was that?
So that was the short engagement. I found 3 phone videos of the same event, and I was able to time stamp them to the explosion. So check that out here. So in the middle here is the first video. You see the launch. Now this is a macro view from further away. And finally, the closest video here on the right side. And you'll see it impact here after 11.5 seconds. So there's the explosion. I timed all 3 videos to try and get an idea of where this is and what happened. Can we see anything, any sort of UFO? Was there an object before impact? You may have seen this news story, quite popular. Russia claims shooting down UFO. Not the first time extraterrestrial activity reported over Rostov Oblast. Oblast, from my analysis of studying Russia as an adversary, is basically a county, like their states. On January 3, 2023, a mysterious object that multiple news sources called a UFO was taken down by the Russian anti-aircraft weapons in the Rostov region of southern Russia. I spent 20 years analyzing and train fighting against these Russian systems, so it is nostalgic to see it again. I will say, luckily though, I didn't have to actually ever kill anyone in the Air Force. I feel very blessed to have gone through and not had to do that. In this case, the UFO, with which witnesses defined as a small size object in the shape of a ball, interesting, was spotted flying over the village of Sultan Saleh at a distance of roughly 1.5 miles. That is 9,000 feet. This is Sultan Saleh village. Just a small village here. So this is Ukraine here. Look, large country, basically dividing Russia from Europe, above the Black Sea and Turkey. I mean, this is the Middle East. If you look at in risk, this is the area you try to hold at your own peril. So right here, imagine there's still conflict in this area. Surprise. Let's go to Sultan Saleh. So as we zoom in here, it's right on the border, pretty close. This is where the white object was supposedly seen at 1.5 miles up. So 9,000 feet, say 10,000 feet. So what I see is basically flying over here. In the news reports, they don't say actually which base fired it or where the location was. Okay, so in this area, there are a few bases. So if we look over here, right on closer to the border, just a few kilometers from the border, is this base. Which has a chance, maybe this does look like possibly a missile post. Okay, but I wouldn't be shooting missiles from this area, but you could have missile locations. Okay, so there's the border with Ukraine. I think what's more likely is the missile came from this base, which if you look right here is a very large Russian defense base, air defense base. This is your Rostov defense base, okay? It says temporarily closed, but if you look here, man, this base has everything. So looking back, you see all these attack helicopters, okay, all different types of Hinds in this area, okay? And you'll also see transport base, okay? So you have transports. I didn't see any bombers. But they basically have everything. If you look down here, look, that's a MiG-29. So Fulcrum. I have fought against this in training. It was awesome. Here's that camel-colored Hind. Okay, that's Su-24. And here's a flanker. On my Twitter, I showed a good picture of a flanker. You can tell the backward-facing radar, man, like Firefox. Okay, we call this the Wanker. Giant aircraft. I mean, look how much bigger that is compared to that little MiG-29 Fulcrum. And they even had, looks like Frogfoot here. Okay, so they almost have every type of fighter, almost in the Russian inventory. So for that reason, I also think they probably have missiles here. Okay, I'm sure they have air defense systems nearby. And what I was thinking is possibly it's located, where would I assume it's coming from? I don't know. This looks like could have a defensive system here, but you don't want to put missile systems out here because it's going to light everything on fire. So that's why, if I had to guess, I would bet the Russians have some sort of placement either here on a truck. Okay, if you look here, this kind of looks like some sort of layout. Usually they put them further apart, but maybe in this area they're not worried about FOD. I can't imagine. These are hardened aircraft shelters. Okay, so these cement concrete barriers, it's designed to be impact resistant. Okay, but if you have GPS weapons, again, you put a hardened JDAM right through that. It's going to be tough. So interesting base. It was exciting to look back at all the cool fighters. And based off of the actual video, if we zoom in on the far range video, basically pause it here. So we pause it here. You look at these are tall buildings, okay? I counted these over 10 stories for sure, maybe up approaching 15 stories. Okay, so you have a group of about 10, 12 buildings here. So I think those buildings correspond to these buildings. Okay, if you count here, you can see by the shadows, these are pretty tall buildings. Over 12 stories, looks like. And a large grouping surrounded by not many other buildings. Okay, so what I think is the video is basically taken from somewhere in this area, aiming this way. And what we're seeing is we're basically seeing the missile shoot away from us, going towards whatever this white ball is, somewhere over here. Okay, so I think we're videoing From here, someone's in their apartment, basically in this area. They're videoing this way. Those are those buildings you see. And then it's shooting from some location over here. I bet maybe we're just right here, right in the center. They have some sort of system. You see, these are vans. Okay, these are like radar vans. They have little protections around them, so you can't bomb them. Can't bomb them. But you can park basically on these hardened spots here. You know, you could put one of these missile launch systems. So if we look, what do I think it probably is? This is an older system. This is a Buck missile system. We called it SA-11. Okay, this is the same system that the Ukrainians used to shoot down that airliner, unfortunately, or someone did. It's an upgrade to the SA-6, dangerous mobile system, medium range, okay? And I think it's this system because when I counted the time of flight, it was 11 and a half seconds. And if you notice, it's still boosting. You can even hear it go off, right? The initial launch. So that's your initial boost phase, right? And then you'll see it even course correct here. You'll see it do a little jink in all of the pictures. It'll do a little jink, okay? But it's still burning. So its main booster is still burning, okay? And that burns on an SA-11 for 15 seconds, which is pretty far. Once a missile burns out, especially at night, you cannot see that thing. Basically invisible. It's an invisible flying telephone pole, we call it. Or what they probably have is you can take these missile systems, right? Once your missile system works, you can now put it on all different types of things. So they put it on ships, they put it just in containers. So chances are they probably just have a setup like this, looks like this, sitting out there somewhere connected to their radar out on its own little firing position. That's kind of what I would guess they have set up there. So based on SA-11, it's a tested, proven missile system. That's just what I guessed. Vasilev Golubev, the governor of Rostov Oblast, first announced the news on his Telegram channel. You gotta love 2023, right? It's how we get war information. Golubev posted on Telegram that a small size object in the shape of a ball had been observed flying in the wind at an altitude of about 1.5 miles. After spotting it, local air defenses targeted the object and shot it down. I urge everyone to remain calm. To ensure security, all forces and means are involved. The sky is covered with anti-aircraft defenses, he continued, without revealing the nature of the object. I believe that, okay? This area is an A2AD defense zone. That means they have overlapping missile systems. It's like a death to any aircraft in that area. That's why when I saw in the news that we were sending F-16s to Ukraine, I was like, man, that is a terrible idea. I don't know, maybe A-10s that can take extra shots, right? They can get hit by some frag F-16s. Man, a few bullets into those things going to be difficult. Probably going down. Local news site Kyiv Rostov featured a headline that read, "A UFO in the form of a ball was shot down in the sky. A video of a glowing object and then exploding in the sky was published by the Ostroznov Novosti channel." So this is one of those videos I just showed. While the identity of UFO is unknown, it does not appear to be a probe of any kind by alien species. One Russian politician claims it was a drone dispatched by Ukraine. So the Ukrainians have been doing drone attacks. I don't know of any drone that looks like a ball. Okay, so that is the one interesting thing to me. But Ukrainian drone operations are suspected of being behind December raids on Russian air bases that reportedly destroyed aircraft. Kyiv has made no explicit claims of involvement in the attacks on the Dyagilevo and Engels air bases in Ryazan and Saratov, respectively. And as I showed here, man, this is a target-rich environment for drones. It's going to be tough to get through these HAZs, right? Hardened aircraft structures. You know, drones aren't going to hurt those. But a lot of aircraft out there. So that could easily be one of the reasons is, yeah, the Ukrainians are going after this as the main base, you know? And you can't put a bomber inside of a hardened aircraft shelter, right? It's too big. So this would push, just even having drones attack this base would push Russia's bombers further east. Is that going to hurt a bomber? No, but it will actually add to their operational tempo. It's going to add to their planning time, etc. So it makes it more difficult. Definitely a possibility. But why is it shaped like a ball? You know, why is it shaped like a ball? That was very interesting to me. And if you remember back to UAPX results, UAPX, they had two main results that they released. I made a video about this. The first was UAPX detected that 43 mega electron volt, and then they looked at their camera system and saw that weird anomaly in the sky. It looked like a tear in the sky, that they called it. The second capture was actually multiple captures of what looked like a flying ball. Basically a flying ball of IR energy, no lights flashing on it. So Could it have been one of these things?
So let's look at the other video. As I said, one of these was David Altman, one of these was Michael Hall. And they caught the same, they started following the same object. There it is again. So they were, they were close to each other. So this is not, people ask, is it good for, a triangulation to get size and distance? Not right off the bat. That's difficult because they were, even though they're two different people, they're only a few feet apart, right next to each other on the island. And so that we need more angles to be able to do that. So I'll talk about in a moment how we scrambled. I know it's a car, not a jet, but we scrambled Jeremy in the Osiris to try to get a different angle from many miles away on the object to help with triangulation, to help determine size, shape, velocity more robustly. So, because you can't do triangulation even if you have multiple viewpoints, if those viewpoints are too close together. Right? You need some spread also. So this wasn't good enough yet for size, shape analysis, but you can see fuzzy, traditional UFO here, fuzzy orb, moving around, and caught by two of our team members in their night vision goggles. Very, very, very interesting. And now this is it in visible light. And you can barely see it probably on this screen, but it's an orangish fuzz, and you can see it moving around. So again, do we wish we had higher resolution of this? Of course. And that's why, we're going to have even better, but remember, this was a movie camera. This is high quality camera, okay? So we're going to break this down frame by frame, zoom in, continue this analysis. But right now, this is what we have in hand right now, but obviously analysis is not finished. So much more to do.
I've also seen several videos, one by Nigel Benton. Nigel Benton has captured 2 videos of these white balls in the UK. Are these some sort of weird observation balls? Or, could it be some sort of probe by either advanced allies or, alien forces? That's the theory anyway. Well, going back to the video. So what I can tell from this is, first off, if you look at the angle. Okay, so as I just kind of scroll it through in slow motion, frame by frame here, as it launches up, you can see there is an angle, okay? It's not going straight up. On this left video, it's going straight up. I think we're looking away from it. It's either coming towards us or going away. I think it is going away from us. And you can see that angled here. Like I said, that booster is still going, and it's definitely tracking on something, okay? So what I got out of this is the missile is tracking on something. You can see it kind of beam there. Look, as it makes a little cut in this center video. Watch, it'll go a little jink there. It jinks. Okay, you can kind of see a little jink in all the videos. If you look, here we go. There's a little change in direction. Almost like a change in speed on this far left one. Okay, so it's tracking something. And it impacts on something. Okay, it does fuse on something. So that's what I got. There is something there. There's some target. Okay, and if we zoom in on actually what it exploded on. And so here's actually the impact. As we just, again, I'm just clicking through slowly. Okay, it goes through. You have some weird interactions here. It looks like fire kind of comes out right there for a frame. So maybe something's blowing off the front. I don't know exactly how that system works, okay? But I know it needs to fuse off of something, okay? It needs to get close enough to set off its proximity fuse. Normally that's radar. It's just once it detects something within its radius, it will fuse. Then it will explode. And so that's what we see here. Basically, there's the actual explosion. Okay, and then you can see the missile going through it, continuing on. Okay, so there's the explosion, and then you'll see the missile body as it continues through the target. And there's even a little donut you can see right there. You see the donut? That's basically, as the explosion happens, the missile's continuing on at Mach 3. That's how fast it should be going by this point, at Mach 3, and you can see it actually continue through the target. But then I can't see anything before, okay? It's just so bright. This is like a 30-foot long, 10-meter long flame that's shooting out there. So it's going to basically gain out everything else, okay? And then I can't see anything after it actually impacts. There's the impact, And you can see it going through. There's the hole. Okay. That's the donut. If a missile's tracking right on you at the end game, this is what it will supposedly look like, is a donut. So that's not what you definitely don't want to see as a fighter pilot. There's the impact. And again, just from a different angle, you can see again the missile continuing through. And finally, this is the Rudenko one. There's the explosion, and you can see continuing. And then nothing, I don't see anything there afterwards. Nothing falling. I can't make anything out. So I don't know what it impacted. This is not the first time alleged traces of extraterrestrial activity have been reported in Russia's Rostov Oblast. In 2007, after a powerful storm, some fishermen along the Sea of Azov captured a strange, seemingly unexplained 100 kilograms of life form. I love this story. They thought the strange squeaking creature they had captured on tape with a cell phone was some alien. However, before anyone could confirm these allegations, the Russian fishermen chose to consume this alleged alien, with one of them stating it was the tastiest food he had ever had. So if we do want to ask, why haven't the aliens come and talked with us? Well, you can look at those first two interactions. First, we shoot first, ask questions later, and then once we do find it, even if we can't identify it, we eat it. So, interesting point. Actually, when I originally recorded this video, I said we hadn't heard an update from Boris Zilyev from the Kyiv Observatory. Well, in final editing, we got an email back, actually, and heard from him. So, this is the email. Dear Mr. Chris Lato, I appreciate your interest in our work. We recorded UAPs from 2018. Unfortunately, UAPs are particular objects. Many people, including scientists, are very skeptical about them. We were told that it could be insects or birds. So, we spent a lot of time studying interference of insects and birds. We can now say with certainty that UAPs are not insects or birds. Excellent. We are sending you 2 of our publications concerning UAPs, which are submitted to the Ukrainian journal Kinematics and Physics of Celestial Bodies. I think you as a blogger can adequately present this material. Best regards, Boris Zilyev. Excellent. So these are the 2 attachments. This was the original UAP Bright. I've covered this in my first video. Second was this, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, Properties of Dark Objects. These are what called the Phantom. I just got this paper. This is just my initial look on it, so I want to go through it. I'll release a video giving more details about this in the future. For UAP observations, we used 2 meteor stations installed in Kyiv and in the Vinarivka village in the south of the Kyiv region. Daytime sky monitoring in Kyiv with multicolor DSLR camera at a rate of 30 frames per second in August and September 2018, and in Vinarivka with a multicolor CMOS camera in October 2022, revealed several cases of dark objects, phantoms. Their time of existence, as a rule, a fraction of a second. These are oval-shaped objects ranging in size from 20 to 100 meters with speeds of 2 to 30 kilometers per second. Again, just an initial look, but interesting here. Some considerations regarding birds and insects at a distance of 1 kilometer with an angular resolution of 1 arc minute. The linear size of the object is 50 centimeters. So they compare basically birds. This is what birds look like using their technique. These are 2 birds. And based on the colors, so this is how they're determining distance, is based on this calorimetry method. So they have a very accurate RGB sensor on their camera, and they're able to tell, I guess, distance. So here they show they've also done it with insects. They've also gone back and looked for insects, and these are the color maps of those insects. So this tells the distance. They go through a couple engagements here. So this is interesting. Arrival too. You look, it goes this way and then comes back. The main question, if this is artillery to Avi Loeb, is, well, how does the artillery do this? Okay, how does it do this maneuver? That would be a bug or insect maneuver, and like they said in this paper, is that it can't be bugs or insects. So quite interesting. So they're sticking by that, right? Phantoms are observed in the troposphere at distances up to 10 to 14 kilometers. We estimate their size from 20 to about hundreds of meters, speeds up to 30 kilometers per second. So quite interesting. Stand by for future info on this case. And thanks to Boris for sharing. Hopefully we will talk to him more in the future. I sent back an email requesting, has he considered artilleries, since that was the main argument from Avi Loeb. Said it before, I've been inside the system. I think war is just how nations interact, how we communicate. I think nations are full living, breathing organisms that we're all inside of and a part of. And war is one of the unfortunate parts of evolution. Hopefully we can get past that in this next century. I think the age of information is upon us. If you look at all these AI systems, ChatGPT, and look how we're getting our information about war, we can show everyone how dumb it is, how negative it is, and really it's just feeding our military industrial complexes. But it's interesting stuff out there. I hope we get more captures, more communication with the East. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for being here. Smash that like button, subscribe to get future notifications. And then if you want backstage access, you want to help on these videos, go to patreon.com/Chris Lado, $5 a month. You get ad-free access to all my videos and backstage access. If you want, check out the merch. UAP Society merch helps the society. And if you do have videos, I get a lot of requests to analyze videos. Go to our UAP Society Discord. It's a little bit of a sign up. Okay, it will take a learning curve, but it's not that difficult. It's just another social media app. You can remain anonymous. Upload your video there in the forums. Then all of us can look at it. They'll stay there and we can analyze it as a group. Have a great day. Thanks for being here. Peace.